Tonight on Bear News, UNC graduate students hold a town hall to show how they plan to adjust to the new budget guidelines.
Plus, we all have a little Irish in us when we visit this local favorite pub. Now, Patrick's Pub hits the decade mark of being on tap for Greeley residents.
Thank you for tuning to Bear News. I'm Zoe Campbell.
And I'm Tanner Schwint. More on those stories later, but first, some breaking news. UNC has a new provost. After a search that started last summer, UNC President Andy Feinstein announced today that Dr. Mark Anderson will lead academics at UNC beginning in April. Anderson is currently a dean at Kennesaw State University. His career also includes a stop at the University of Colorado at Denver. We'll bring you a full report about Dr. Anderson in next week's show.
In other campus news, Black Heritage Month is officially underway here at UNC. And the Marcus Garvey Cultural Center kicked off the month with their fireside reading at the University Center. The purpose of the fireside reading was to bring awareness to Black figures who don't get as much recognition as people like Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, or Malcolm X. 8 readers read excerpts from books like The Help, Big White Fog, and The Life of Marcus Garvey. Associate Professor of Africana Studies Travis Boyce read a few chapters discussing the case of the national tragedy of Trayvon Martin. The reading included national scrutiny of the murder by people on the left and the right, as well as how President Barack Obama handled the strife. Garvey Central Cultural Activities Coordinator Diamond White said these events bring more awareness to Black Heritage Month on campus.
We don't have enough recognitions for the people that we need to. Everybody knows of like top 3 people, so Malcolm X, MLK, Rosa Parks. Nobody knows about like Sojourner Truth or Madam C.J. Walker, like people who invented things for people like that we're still using today, that have grown today. And so it was so important to me because I also wanted people to express who they feel is important, who they want to recognize during this month, because not a lot of people get that recognition.
The Marcus Garvey Cultural Center hosts events throughout February. Be sure to tune in to Bear News for our coverage of Black Heritage Month events. As part of UNC's budget-cutting process, the graduate school is reviewing the state of its education. Graduate School Dean Linda Black answered students at a town hall last week and explained how it will comply with the university's budget changes. Black said a task force will review each program's course enrollment and yearly application numbers. The task force will then make funding recommendations and submit them to UNC President Andrew Feinstein. From there, the school plans to work with individual students individually to help them finish their degrees.
Have you ever thought about where your food comes from or how it's prepared? The average American eats out about 4 times a week, and for college students, it's more than that. While many college students prefer eating out as opposed to cooking their own meals, it is important to keep in mind where you eat and if the restaurant is up to health codes. Want to be an informed consumer? Well, the Weld County Department of Public Health and Environment is here to keep you as the consumer safe when you eat out. The website includes a section for retail inspections where they provide food inspection history of restaurants licensed in Weld County. The Retail Food Establishment Scoring Index gives the health inspection results as far back as 2016. A restaurant can get an excellent, good, fair, marginal, or unacceptable score after a health inspection. The more points a restaurant accumulates, the worse the score it receives. The criteria being judged include how well the food preparation area is kept, making sure the plumbing and sewage are intact, and the temperatures of food. The frequency of these inspections is also dependent on the size and cooking process used. Stay tuned to Bear News for more information about your health and local restaurants. Right now, when you need to go to the financial aid office, you drop by Carter Hall. That's where the office has been for years. But as Bear News reporter James Conlon tells us, that's about to change.
In the upcoming months, the financial aid office will be moving into the new campus commons, with their new offices being located here on the 2nd floor at Bear Central.
The move hasn't yet begun, but the employees of the financial aid office are already preparing.
We're really excited about getting up here. It is kind of overwhelming to think about moving, whether you're moving your different apartment or a house, but when you're moving 15, 20 people, it can be a little anxiety driven, but so far the move's going well.
This move will signal a change for how students get their financial aid, because along with the move, they're implementing a new system that will allow students to skip the line and explore the new building.
At the beginning of the semester, we will be having a program called QLIS. And QLIS will be similar to what you would do, like if you checked into Red Lobster and there was a line, they'll give you ability on your phone to check in. And then once you get checked in, it'll kind of tell you how long till you would be able to be served. And you can go hang out on the steps or go get pie or check out, use it in the fall to hopefully minimize the lines or at least the wait time during the fall startup.
But this isn't the only change that students will see from Bear Central.
Well, one of the nice things for students is that the bursar will be over here and registrar and financial aid will be together, so that whatever question you have amongst the three areas, you can come to one location to get hopefully that question answered without having to bounce around from one side of Carter Hall to the other and up the stairs and back down. Hopefully here we'll all be right here and be able to help students out a lot easier and quicker.
After spring break, you will be able to visit the new financial aid office here at Bear Central. Reporting for Bear News, I'm James Conlon.
The financial aid office joins the registrar's office to help create the Student Central, which is designed to be a one-stop shop for students.
It's an unlikely pairing between the College of Natural Health Sciences and the Center for Women's and Gender Equity. But according to Bear News reporter Alex Ekstead, it resulted in great success in breastfeeding, chest feeding, and lactation realms.
Last month, UNC was awarded a certificate proclaiming UNC as a breastfeeding-friendly public venue in Weld County. This achievement can be credited to the Center for Women's and Gender Equity as well as the Department of Nutrition and Dietetics. UNC professor Alina Clark says this award shows how progressive UNC is being in regards to lactation.
We are the only university in Colorado that has this award and has all of the different services for our students, faculty, staff, and our community.
UNC has 6 lactation stations in Greeley, located at Carter Hall, the UC, Michener Library, the Gender and Sexuality Resource Center, the Center for Women's and Gender Equity, and the Campus Commons. 3 of them are private, meaning they are their own rooms with a door that can be locked, and the other 3 are semi-private, with a privacy screen. These privacy screens can also be checked out through Clark, who says these stations are a necessity that are being used by students, employees, and the public.
Since 2012, when we initialized our very first station on campus, we have now had over 1,600 visits to our lactation station, so there is a need.
The pairing hasn't only helped UNC, but also other college campuses across the U.S. The two bodies have developed a toolkit to help others with this issue, and Sarah Rodriguez says they have shared it with many college campuses and even internationally.
I know last I checked in, it was over 100 campuses nationwide have asked for the toolkit that we had created with nutrition and dietetics. So it is seeming that more people are more interested, not in just supporting breastfeeding, but also making sure that it's inclusive.
For more information about breastfeeding and chest feeding support, contact the Center for Women's and Gender Equity. Coming up after the break, we meet a fisher who might actually be telling the truth about the size of the fish he catches.
But first, physics and football? You'll see how the two mix. Stay tuned.
Kids will spend 8 minutes decorating their little brother.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
Some people got ready for the Super Bowl with a drink and some got ready with a physics lesson. Wait, a physics lesson? Bear News reporter Amy Golden experienced both at a brewery over the weekend.
In a crowded bar, 2 UNC professors use demos and trivia to get excited for the Super Bowl and teach a little science. Physics professors Charles Kuhn and Bob Walsh spoke at Loveland Ale Works on Saturday. Topics included how high altitude affects football and why helmets use foam. People of every age filled the bar, answered trivia questions, and, if they were old enough, enjoyed a microbrew or 2. Bob Walsh teaches physics at UNC and said more people than expected turned out for the event.
We did a little talk, informal, on the physics of football. So we talked a little bit about some of the factors that involve throwing a football, kicking a football, and some of the physics behind that.
Kuhn began these type of events 2 summers ago when he did a talk on the then upcoming solar eclipse. The bar talk was so popular that he now puts the events on every 2 to 3 months. He says he enjoys these talks because they're all the fun of physics without the boring parts of taking a class. Reporting from Loveland Ale Works, for Bear News, I'm Amy Golden.
That looks fun and educational, and I gotta say, I think I'd like class more too if it was at a brewery. Well, UNC School of Music Arts starts out its concert season with a bang, a toot, and a lot of other noises. The UNC Symphony Orchestra performed 3 pieces from composer Igor Stravinsky and 1 longer composition from Anton Dvorak in its concert on January 30th. Student conductor Inez Rodriguez, who directed the orchestra throughout the second half of the concert, and he said the show was a smashing success.
Oh, it's great. Everybody did a great job. We worked so hard, about maybe a month or even more, and we're so happy to get to do this finally.
The Symphony Orchestra presents its next performance on March 20th.
You're probably used to fishing rods that are as tall as you are, or maybe even exceed it. But how about a fishing rod that fits in your pocket? Well, as Bear News reporter Sarah Methuselah tells us, dreams and little fishing rods do come true, thanks to one UNC Bear.
Junior Michael Ryan handcrafts miniature fishing rods. Yes, miniature. Sizes range from 11.5 inches all the way to a small toothpick. The rods are made out of bamboo and other materials able to withstand the weight of catching fish. Smaller rods force a fisherman to be more involved in the fun. Ryan started making waves with these new rods just 7 months ago.
So it was kind of an accident. At my old work, we sell these super tiny fishing hooks, and I was asking my coworker there, who's a big fisherman, do people actually ever use these? I told him it'd be really funny if somebody made a fishing pole to match the size of that fishing hook. He thought it was funny, and so the next year I finally got around to doing that, just kind of on accident.
Ryan spends about 6 hours perfecting each fishing rod. Now these rods aren't just for looks, they can reel in some real fish. Ryan has caught fish with his mini tool on several occasions, even at Glenmere Park. If you're feeling hooked, don't worry, these rods are for sale.
So I have an Etsy shop for them. I also sell them at Garrettson's Sports Center here in Greeley, and then anybody who contacts me directly, I can make one for them.
A fun challenge awaits on the water when you give one of these mini fishing rods a chance. Reporting from Glenmere Park, I'm Sarah Methuselah, Bear News.
Maybe one day you'll see me catching my dinner with a mini fishing rod, but probably not. With chalk bags and crash pads, eager UNC climbers are ready to make their ascent after some helpful tips and motivation from Outdoor Pursuits guest speaker and pro climber Chelsea Rude. In between her adventures, Rude
Outdoor Pursuits to listen to Rude speak about her experiences, the group moved to the gym where she gave pointers on proper climbing technique. Rude has scaled mountains through rain, ice, and snow. As you can tell, rock climbing comes in many forms. From ice climbing to bouldering, from day hikes to pitching a tent on the side of a mountain face, she has done it all. She shared stories about her adventures, from learning how to use the bathroom while spending 30 hours on a rock face to dealing with sugary snow falling in your face as you climb. Rude has entered more than 100 climbing competitions since she began in 1998, and she's sponsored by Adidas Outdoor, La Sportiva, and others. While Rude explained that she is constantly thawing out from ice climbing to go back to her traditional ascents, she likes the challenges different techniques bring.
I've had all these experiences with climbing, and one of my favorite things is sharing those experiences with you and sharing all the knowledge that I've accumulated over these years with everybody.
From Bear News, I'm Mary Harbert.
Now, in between her adventures, Rude spends her time coaching youth climbers in Boulder. She intends to start a nonprofit to help underprivileged children, particularly girls, get involved in sports like climbing, hiking, or kayaking. Beer doesn't typically flow on 10th birthdays, but when it's the 10th birthday for one of Greeley's most popular pubs, well, Bear News reporter Joe Buchanan said the beer flowed freely.
For our local business spotlight, we will be focusing on one of the staples of downtown Greeley, Patrick's Irish Pub, as they are celebrating their 10 years of service.
Since February 1st of 2009, Patrick's has been a haven for craft beer enthusiasts in Greeley. Greg Farnsworth, a CU Boulder graduate, built Patrick's with his leftover student loans. After talking with a friend from Greeley, he saw the lack of a bar scene and decided to try his luck at opening the pub. Their slogan, Chasing the Rare Beer, has been a goal since the pub has opened. In the 10 years, hundreds of different craft beers, everything from local to international brews, have been on tap.
It's all about taste and tasting new things and trying new things, so.
For their anniversary, Patrick's offered free drinks throughout the weekend, as well as musical acts every night. Patrick's has found a customer base in UNC students, especially being across the street from the Ice House, home of the UNC Bears hockey. But it is not just UNC students who love Patrick's. The pub has become a place for all Greeley residents to enjoy a night out.
I could never have done this in another town, I realized, starting with no money, and just hand building this place,
For Bear News, I'm Joe Buchanan.
Now, Patrick's is open from 3 p.m. to 2 a.m. every day. And who knows, you might even see a few Bear News reporters there. Maybe you, Zoe?
Yeah, so you're saying drinks on you, yes?
Yeah, I think that's the plan after this.
Perfect. After the break, we'll take a closer look at the cold weather, which has lingered around the area.
And we see just how you would chill if the chilly weather canceled UNC classes. Stay tuned.
Hey, I'm Anderson Cooper. As a parent, you want to make sure that your child knows how to deal with bullying when they see it happening. And chances are they want to help, but they don't really know how. Well, teach them that the best thing to do is calmly walk away, find a teacher or other adult, and speak up. And do your part. Be that adult they can talk to and trust will listen. Join me to help stop bullying. Go to stopbullying.gov to find out more.
You sure you don't want some? It's chamomile. Listen, you are extremely terrifying. Just the scariest undead subhuman thing on TV, and I really mean that. But I am worried that you could give my kids nightmares if they see you, so I'm gonna have to block you. So that's it. Oh, and tell the zombies they're blocked too.
Well, we're in the second month of the semester now, and that's when students seem to lose themselves in homework, classes, and extracurricular activities. So to keep us from falling into bad habits, Bear News reporter Renee Ortiz joins us to give us the health tip of the week.
Thanks, Zoe. Now as college students, we all seem to naturally cram too many activities into one day. We have to go to class, get our homework done, eat, try out a new video game, or if you're like me, binge watch The Office for hours. With everything we cram into our day, my health tip for the week is this: get the proper amount of sleep. You need between 7 and 9 hours of sleep a day. Without proper rest, sleep deprivation can lead to mental health issues as well as a negative effect on class participation. Now, sometimes we have to pull a late or all-nighter to finish those assignments, but those nights should be few and far between. So the next time you find yourself watching cat videos into the wee hours of the night, remember to turn off your device and catch a few Z's. Back to you, Zoe.
Thanks, Renee. Bear News brings you weekly health tips, so be sure to tune in next week for tips on how to be a healthier bear.
Snow and sub-zero wind chills are just the latest weather phenomenon to make their way to UNC's campus. For more on that, let's take a look at our weather conditions.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Stephanie Serino. Yesterday, there was certainly no lack of snow in the Greeley, Colorado area, as we woke up to a fresh blanket of it yesterday morning, making our commute to class a little bit miserable. If we take a look at this ghost satellite imagery, we actually see a lot of that faint white in the background is actually the snow that fell in the area because of that low pressure system that passed by. Taking a look at our current temperatures, we see this region of just mass Arctic air dipping into the United States, taking up almost 2/3 of it. And that is making temperatures into -17 and 19 over here in the Colorado region. There we go. But then we see this upsurge of warm Gulf air coming up to West Virginia, Maryland, bringing in those low 70 temperatures that they so much deserve. And then looking into our current fronts, we see that low pressure system that brought the snow to us yesterday moving its way east, bringing them a little bit of rain to the area. But over here on our west, we see these high pressure systems that are bringing in sunnier skies, but not warmer temperatures, unfortunately. And looking into Friday morning, we see a little peak of this snow in Oregon and Washington that might be making its way into Colorado during the weekend. And on Saturday morning, we're still on the edge of that, but not quite there. But on Saturday, we do also have a men's basketball game. We're going to be going up against Sacramento State, but it's projected to be nice when the game starts at 2:30 with sunny skies and 36 degrees. On Friday morning, you do want to bundle up for your commute. We're looking at -2 degrees for our 9 a.m. classes, warming up to 25 degrees by noon, but we're not projected to get much further beyond the freezing point as our high. And then for our 7-day forecast, we see that we're going to be ranging around the high 30s, low 40s for much of the week. And it isn't until Valentine's Day that we start seeing some cloudy skies, but the rest of the week should be pretty sunny, which will be very nice for going to class. All right, and more on Bear News after the break.
Lots of college students all over the U.S. are missing classes because of sub-zero cold. But UNC students just have to dream about what they do if the campus shut down for a day or two. Bear News reporter Alex Exted set out on campus to find out what students would do if they didn't have to go to class in this week's question of the week.
The polar vortex has left many people in the northern and midwestern parts of the United States in dangerously freezing weather. So today, I'm asking UNC students, if the temperature was well below zero and all your classes were canceled, how would you spend the day?
In shorts.
Going to the rec and playing basketball.
Ooh, I've been really busy this week, so I'd probably take some time for myself and like watch some scary movies and make some homemade food.
Just generally avoid going outside.
I'd probably spend it doing some of the art commissions that I've got built up, also working on the homework.
I definitely would have a cup of hot chocolate and try to like catch up on my work, hopefully.
How would I spend my day? Quite wisely. I would first start out sleeping in and then probably just doing laundry if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I would just sleep in with a pot of coffee or something.
That's easy. I'm gonna stay inside.
Definitely. Probably sleep a lot.
Oof. I would probably like curl up in bed, with like 4 or 5 blankets, and go down to the basement, put them in the dryer beforehand, go upstairs, make a cup of hot cocoa, and watch like The Year Without a Santa Claus, some great old classics. I think that's what I would do for sure.
Reporting from outside McKee Hall, I'm Alex Exted, Bear News.
Thanks, Alex. Even though we still have to go to class, I'm really glad we've been lucky and haven't had negative 15-degree temperatures. It was a record-breaking weekend for UNC sports, starting with the track and field team at the Colorado Invite.
And women's basketball followed the lead, making history of their own Monday night.
Don't go anywhere. Courtney Lockie has all the highlights for you coming up in sports.
All right, give me a spot. You know my motto, safety first.
They could be dangerous. I think we should call animal control.
Animal control?
To be safe.
Don't worry. I got this. It's a new motto.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Here's your check.
Oh, you got it. Since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. Got it. No?
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early.
You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Another week, another win for the UNC women's basketball team as they take home the W against Montana State, 84-73. UNC started fast in the first quarter to take a 27-15 lead. The Bobcats came back with a 9-0 run in the second quarter, but the Bears hit enough shots of their own to end the first half, leading 41-30. In the second half, MSU came out hot and cut the Bears' lead to 6, but the Bears didn't let them get any closer. UNC fought back hard, extending their lead to as much as 19 late in the fourth quarter before finally winning by 11. Senior point guard Savannah Smith was a superstar, tying the program record for points in a game with 37. Allie Meyer grabbed 10 rebounds and put up 6 points herself. And Crystal Legger-Walker chipped in 4 rebounds, 8 assists, and 10 points, and got 3 of the 11 steals taken by the Bears. The Bears' big win puts UNC at first place with Idaho State in the Big Sky. Next up, the team travels to Oregon to take on Portland State Saturday. A game against a team you beat only 2 weeks ago after a week of rest at home. That's normally a recipe for success for men's basketball. But no, unlike the women's team, the men were overrun by the Montana State Bobcats. The first half kicked off with an immediate scoring drought for the first 2 minutes of the game. After that, the game limped along with usual stars senior Jordan Davis going 1 for 6 and junior Jonah Radabaugh 1 for 3. The Bears depended on junior Trent Harris's 9 points to give them a 32-31 lead going into the half. After the half, it was neck to neck in a battle of free throws, with the Bobcats scoring 9 of their 14 to push them into a 3-point lead with only 5 seconds left. Davis attempted one more three-pointer before the buzzer cemented the 69-66 score, and the Bobcats handed the Bears their second loss at home. The Bears have to defend the Den against 2 more teams this week, Portland State tonight and Sacramento State Saturday. The UNC track team is back home with a new stack of personal records from last weekend's CU Invitational. To kick things off, Cammie Sargent set an indoor record for the women's 800 with a stellar time of 2:07.32 to take 3rd overall. The men's 4x400 relay team stole second with a time of 3:14.74. That team features Kyle Thomas, Alex Ayers, Adam Stark, and Jalen Lyon. In the men's 5,000, Josh Campbell and Stephen Haas showed up to place 3rd and 4th respectively with their best personal times of 14:56.95 and 14:95.81. Freshman Greg Leday placed second in the men's 60-meter with the personal record of 6:80. Other notable athletes who crushed their personal records include Thomas, Stark, and Evan Keeley on the men's side, while Cyan, Algie, and Shemaya Johnson showed up for the women's team. Up next, the Bears head to Albuquerque next weekend for the Don Kirby Invite, hosted by the University of New Mexico. UNC's hockey team had a very special night last Friday. It was the last time that the seniors Cameron Taggart, Colin Shamelka, Tyler Rubber, and Jay Franceschini shared the ice together. Well, at least here in Greeley. The Bears went into Friday night wanting to win for the seniors, but that's not how it all happened. The Metro State Roadrunners came out strong and fast. The first period was tough as the Bears couldn't get anything going until the last 4 seconds. After Metro scored late in the first, the Bears' Paul Norris tied it up right before the period ended. Norris went straight up the middle of the ice and put his wrister right past the Roadrunner goalie. Coming out for the second, ready to get something started, the Bears spent most of the second period in their own zone. After 10 minutes of even hockey, the Bears started to fall apart. Goalie Ashton Opperman stopped many shots in the second, but couldn't stop the 3 that the Roadrunners put into the net. The Bears went into the third hoping to even up the game, but couldn't. With 11 minutes left, senior Tyler Weber scored for the Bears. After the Roadrunners scored their 6th goal, seniors Shamelka and Taggart, along with Opperman, were ejected from the game. The Bears couldn't do anything as they lost 6-2. They tried getting a redemption shot at the Roadrunners in Denver Saturday night, but that one was even worse. The Bears lost 7-1. They hope to get back on track this weekend when they travel to Oklahoma to face the Oklahoma Sooners and Oklahoma Central. Northern Colorado Swim and Dive fought back to overcome an early deficit against Colorado State University, but it wasn't enough as the Rams defeated the Bears 158-142 on Friday night. CSU got an early lead by winning the first 4 of 5 events, forcing UNC to play catch-up for the rest of the meet. Maddie Moore and Rose Saya had impressive nights in the pool as the two battled back for the Bears, taking first in multiple events. Saya won the 200 and 500 freestyle with times of 1:54.30 and 5:03.84 respectively. Meanwhile, Moore won the 50 and 100 freestyle races with times of 23:78 and 52:21. Saya and Moore were also a part of the 400 relay team that finished first for the Bears with a time of 3:29.44. On the diving platform, Celeste Lona won both the 1 and 3 meter with scores of 2:69.33 and 2:76.90. Northern Colorado takes the remainder of the month to prepare for the Western Athletic Conference Championships, February 27th through March 2nd in Houston, Texas. One weekend, 2 opponents, 2 different results. That was the story for the Northern Colorado women's tennis team this weekend as they split. The Bears started the weekend off right, battling for a 6-1 victory over Metro State Denver Friday afternoon at home. Taking a look at doubles, Anna Battersby and Madeline Doherty, as well as the duo of Serena Shabara and Sinclair Larson, both won their matches by a score of 6-3. One of the first singles matches also went in favor of UNC in convincing fashion when Sandra Kita took care of her match 6-1, 6-1. Larson and Doherty continued their winning ways, defeating their opponents 6-2, 6-2, and 6-4, 6-4 respectively. Junior Rafa Moore was her usual self, taking her match 6-3, 6-4. Following the matchup against Metro, the Bears faced a much tougher opponent on the road and left with different results. Denver University easily defeated the Bears by a 7-0 score. After the weekend, the Bears moved to 3-2 on the season. Up next, they take on Colorado University at 1 p.m. on Saturday for their final non-conference matchup of the year.
Thanks, Courtney. It's great to see all of these Bears teams having the success that they are.
Yeah, they've been competing against some pretty big schools, and they've been faring well, I'd say, in those competitions.
All I can say is, let's go Bears.
Let's go Bears. Remember, Bear News is your on-campus source for all things UNC.
Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned every week as we bring Bear News to you every Thursday. We'll catch you next week.